Okay, I think we are on. Hello, guys. Thank you very much again for coming to our third remote Porto.Vue event and the sixth meetup of all. I hope I'm having here just a small issue. One sec. Okay, we can fix. I was hearing feedback from myself. Sorry, guys. So let me start with our traditional initial presentation for all of you that are new to this community. So who is Porto.Vue? Porto.Vue, it's a community created in Porto in December of last year. It's a common effort from the community to join people who love and work with Vue.js so they can have the opportunity to talk with each other. Our main purpose is to share knowledge, challenges, and experience between all of us, and to strengthen our community inside Porto City, but actually also sharing the knowledge of the Porto people that like Vue with people all around the world. And we have a few people coming from all around Europe and even from Brazil, which is great for us. So this event gives us the opportunity to share all these experience with people not only in Portugal but all around the world. These meetups occur every month, usually with different hosts, locations, and speakers. Since we are doing this event remotely, we are not switching hosts. Neither locations. We are only switching speakers. Okay, due to COVID-19 confinement rules, we decided to go with this event in the full remote mode. We hope that when we get out of all these COVID-19 issues and we get back to what used to be the normal life, we can get back also to local events, but sharing these local events also with the online community. So for this reason, we are looking for speakers for the next talk. So if you have any interest, somebody that could be a great speaker, or if you just want to give it a try, even if it's new for you, don't be afraid. Talk with us. We will be more than thankful, and we will help you out preparing your presentations, sharing materials, sharing ideas, and give you all the support you need to have a successful presentation. Okay. One side note. Regarding this monthly occurrence of events, actually next month in August, we will not we won't want to do any events since most of us will be in holidays. So we will skip the month of August, and we will restart with these events on September. So keep this in mind. If you want to get in touch with us, you have the Porto Meetup community where you can check our events and get in contact with us. You have our Twitter, Slack channel where you can talk with everybody and take any doubts you have, or the email, the official email to get in contact with us. So for today, we have two amazing speakers. One actually already talked a few months ago, and he enjoyed so much that he wanted to try again. First of all, we will have André Ventura, which is a front-end engineer at IT sector, and we'll be talking about the Vue router. So thank you a lot, André, for sharing your knowledge and being part of this community. And after him, we will have Tiago Alves, senior mobile developer at IRC, which is the one that actually made a great presentation a few months ago. And we will talk about a very interesting topic, and really looking forward for it, which is VueJS-powered fluffy killing robots, where he will present how to make Vue.js to work with robots, which is something amazing to see. So guys, thank you all again for joining this event. I hope you will enjoy these talks. So with no further comments or time to be taken from you, I will pass this presentation to André. And I hope you enjoy, guys. Before starting, if you have any questions, please place them in the chat on YouTube. We will answer all your questions by the end of each presentation, okay? I will gather all questions and request our speakers to get back to you with an answer, okay? So thank you very much, and enjoy the talks. André, want to join?
Hi, I'm sharing now. Okay.
Yes, we are watching. Thank you. Please go on.
I'm looking for my webcam button in Zoom that disappeared. Let me see. I have to stop share. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you. We stopped seeing the presentation.
Yeah, I had to stop it to be able to show.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm sharing it again. Okay, now it should be everything okay. First of all, thank you, Carlos and Fabio, for inviting me to do this presentation. I'll be talking about routing with Vue Router. I'm André Ventura, not the politician, and I'm a front-end engineer at IT sector. You can find me on LinkedIn. So today I'll talk about routing with Vue Router using Vue Router, which is the recommended, officially supported library for routing. I'll cover it from the basics to some more advanced stuff. So if you are already using Vue, hopefully you'll still learn something new from this. If not, and if you are new to Vue, by the end of this, I hope you will have a good overall understanding of or about routing. So here is an overview, so you'll have an idea of the topics I'll be covering. So why routing? Routing options in Vue, Vue Router installation, history modes, Vue Router components, dynamic route matching, nested routes, programmatic navigation, nested views, redirect and alias, passing props to route components, navigation guards, routes meta fields, transitions, data fetching, scroll behavior, and lazy loading routes. So I have about 30 minutes to cover all of this, so I hope I will not go too fast. And if you have any questions, please note the slide number at the top left corner, and at the end I can answer it. Okay, so why routing? Single page applications, usually the browser downloads a single page from the server and then replaces the page content based on some parts that have to change. And that replacement is done usually without changing the URL. And if you want to have history navigation, if you want the user to go back and still be at your site on the previous page of your site and not go outside of it to the previous site he was browsing, if you want the user to be able to refresh the page and still land at the same place or share the URL with someone, instead of it landing always on the same entry page, you need Vue routing. So View routing is just a matter of user experience, because you can have single page applications without it, but the user experience will be degraded without routing. Routing options in Vue. You can have routing from scratch. You can use the Vue library, that is the one I will cover, the Vue router library. And you can even have third-party routers like Page.js or Director. I think it is a good idea to show you how a basic router will be implemented from scratch. So you can then have a better understanding how the Vue router works. Here is an example. So we are importing Vue. We have 3 components here. We define 2 routes. And this is just an object that maps a path to one of these routes. And then we just create the Vue root instance as usual, where we have here the current route that will be the window, the browser window location path name. And based on this, then we have a computed property that is the Vue component that will be one of these. So Vue will try to find the component based on the current route from this routes object and return it. If not found, it will return the not found component that does not exist here at the configuration. Then the render function just returns the rendering of this Vue component that is computed. So this is a very basic route in Vue. Let's move on. Vue router installation. You can choose the Vue router at Vue Create from the Vue CLI tools. It will show you something like this, where you can enable the router. You can also add it to an existing project using the Vue add router from the Vue CLI tool, or you can install the dependency and configure it manually. Here is an example of it installed manually. So after installing this, you can import Vue router from the Vue router package. We then have here 2 components. You have to install the Vue router plugin using Vue use Vue router, and then you just create a Vue router instance. The Vue router instance receives an options object. One of the options is the routes, that is an array of routes. You have here the path and the corresponding component that will need to be rendered. And then when you create the Vue instance, you just pass the router and it will work. When the router instance is injected into the root Vue instance, you have access to the router and the current route through this router and this route. This example here is in a single file, but the default structure is to have the Vue router in its own router file, but I just put it together so I could have a screenshot and show you here. You can also see here the views instead of components. This is due to a new standard from some versions of Vue ago. They divided the components into components and views. The views are the components related with a route, and the components are all the other components that can be used inside views, inside other components. In the end, they are exactly the same. It's just a matter of structuring the project to be easier to maintain. Okay, history modes. There are 2 modes, hash and history, that is based on HTML5 history API. The hash mode probably you will remember from some older websites that use this hash at the URL. This was done because the browser did not support using an absolute path without a hash, because if you change the path, the browser will automatically refresh. But then with this new HTML5 history API, the developers gained the ability to manipulate the browser session history and to change the URL without doing a page refresh. For this mode to work, you have to configure your web server to always provide the index.html file no matter what the path is. That did not happen before because everything on the hash was ignored by the web server. So now you have to configure it for always provide you the index page, and then Vue from the path will know which components to load. Okay, here when you create the application, it asks you for the history mode. Now the default is history instead of hash, but it was not before. Okay, Vue router components. We have two components. We have router link and router view. The router link is converted to an anchor tag, and it will work like an anchor tag. So if you want to render another tag, you can use the tag option. So if you place the tag button here instead of an anchor, it will render a button. It also receives two classes, the router link active and the router link exact active when the current route is matched. So you can apply styles to the current selected route. And then you have the router view, which is a functional component where the matched component will be rendered. The router link is preferred over the anchor tag because it will work the same way. Either you have the hash mode or the history mode, it will be automatic. You don't have to adapt your site. And it will also fall back to the hash mode or even better, the mode will fall back to the hash mode in Internet Explorer 9, which I hope nobody is using. What else? Okay, I think I covered everything from here. Yeah. Okay, dynamic route matching. So if you need to if you need to map routes with a given pattern to the same component, you can use a dynamic segment in the path to achieve that. So params are denoted with a colon, like foo and bar. These are two parameters. They can be made optional if you add a question mark. You can even use regular expressions. If you use an asterisk, it will match anything that comes after this. And you can even make parts of the path optional if you wrap them in parentheses and add a question mark. So for example, here this params foo bar, if you access this URL, params with 2, this width will match this foo and this 2 will match this bar. So at your template, you can use the route params object and access foo and bar. And in this case, this will render foo width and bar 2. Besides parameters, you can access the query and the hash. So if you have a path with these two queries, the foo 1234 and bar 9876, the query parameters object will have foo with a value and bar with a value. Note that this is always a string. And if you have a hash, you can access it through route hash, and everything up to the end of the URL will be the hash, and it will always be a string. Okay, so catch all 404 not found. As you saw, the asterisk will match everything. So if you have your paths and at the end you have a path with an asterisk, anything that will not match one of these paths will fall here, will be matched here. So you can have your component and your not found page showing if no route matches. Multiple or even better, an URL may match multiple routes. And in that case, the matching priority will be given to the route that was defined earlier. So if these two matches, this will be the one that wins. So because it is defined first. Okay, nested routes. As we usually have apps composed of components that are nested multiple levels deep, and it is also very common that segments of URL correspond to a certain structure of nested components. This relationship is expressed using nested route configurations. So here we have this path, and this path has children, and then one of them has another children. So if you access this my route sub deep one, you will go through my route and then sub and then deep one. This is the path, deep one. And that will lead to this component child one view being rendered. Okay, aside from using router link to create the anchor tags for declarative navigation, we can also do this programmatically using the router's instance methods. We have router push and router replace. If we use router push here, it will be exactly the same as using the router link with a two. So here we call go to route with this name, and then we apply it here, router push with this name. So this would be equivalent, and you can add it to any element on your page. Router replace is similar with router push. The only difference is that it will navigate without pushing a new history entry. It will replace the current entry. So if you don't want the navigation to be registered in your history, you can use the replace. You also have access to the router go method. So if you call router go with one, it will go forward by one record of the history. It is the same as calling the browser history forward. You can go -1 to go back. You can go forward 3. You can go forward and backwards any amount you want of entries, and it will fail silently if the number of records do not exist. Named views. So if you need to display multiple views at the same time instead of nesting them, for example, if you are creating a layout with a sidebar view and a main view, you can use named views. Instead of having one single outlet in your view, you can have multiple and give each of them a name. So here at this route configuration, we have these children, and here this path is empty because it will match this one. Because I wanted to have this inside another router view, so I had to add this. Here you have to define components, plural, instead of component. So what happens here is that you give the name of the router view here. The router view without a name, it's default. So foo will be rendered here in this one without name. Then we have A and B that are here, name A and name B. So these three components here will be rendered in these three router views. So you can have a navbar, a main, something else. Okay, redirect and alias. So redirecting is also done in the routes configuration. A redirect means when the user visits A, the URL will be replaced by B, and then that new path will be matched here, and this component rendered. So what is an alias? The difference is that instead of replacing the URL, an alias will just work as if two paths are configured with the same component. So the user visits A, or the user visits B, and the browser will not change the path to A. It will stay as B, and the user will see exactly the same thing as visiting A. Take care about the navigation guards that are not applied on the route that redirects. So if you have some navigation guards configured here, they will be skipped, and the ones configured at the redirect target will be triggered. This alias allows you to have a freedom to map an UI structure with or to an arbitrary URL, so you are not constrained by the configuration or by your router configuration. Passing props to route components. So using the route object on your component creates a tight coupling with the route, which limits the flexibility of the component, as it can only be used on certain URLs. To decouple this component from the router, you can use the props option. So when props is set to true, the route params will be set as the component props. So here we have user, and we are printing the user ID from the route params, but setting props to true, it will also render, it will continue working, but now these props, this user ID prop, will be filled with the user ID from the param at the path. So this will print exactly the same thing. Besides having here the props true, you can also have an object or a function. When the props is an object, the component props will be set as is. So this might be useful for when the props are static. And you can also create a function that returns props. This allows you to cast parameters, for example, into other types. You can combine static values from route-based values. Here in this example, if you access this URL //search and then a query queue that is view, the props will pass this query that will be the query queue. So the component will receive a query that is view. Okay, navigation guards. As the name suggests, the navigation guards provided by the Vue router are primarily used to guard navigations, either by redirecting it or canceling it. There are a number of ways to hook into the route navigation process. You can do it globally at the router. You can do it per route on each route configuration, or you can do it inside the components. I will cover each one in the next slide. So at the global before guards are called in creation order. So if you have several, they will be called in creation order whenever a navigation is triggered. So guards may also be resolved asynchronously. If you have to fetch something, they will wait for it. And the navigation is considered pending until or before all hooks have been resolved. So every guard receives 3 arguments: 2, that is the target route being navigated to; from, that is the current route being navigated away from; and the next, that is a function that must be called to resolve the hook. Next can have different arguments, and I will show you here in the next slide. But here, this example shows a before each that checks if the target name is not logged in and the user is not authenticated, then we are redirecting the user to the login page, else it's the login page already or the user is authenticated, it will continue normally. About the arguments provided to next, you can call it without arguments. It will move on to the next hook in the pipeline. If no hooks are left, then the navigation is confirmed. You can pass false, that will abort the current navigation. If the browser URL was changed, either manually by the user or by clicking the back button of the browser, it will be reset to that one from the route. If you call it with a string or with an object with a route name, it will also abort the current navigation and will start a new one. So this is a redirect. If you call it with an error instance, the navigation will be aborted and the error will be passed to the callbacks registered via router on error. Okay, besides the global ones, we have per route. So in the route configuration, you can have before enter. It has the exact same signature as the global before guards. So it's the same. Instead of doing it for all the routes, you can do it for specific ones. You can also have in component guards. So inside your component, you can have a before route enter. This before route enter has no access to the component instance because the component has not yet been created. This is called before the navigation is confirmed. The before route update is triggered when a dynamic route parameter changes. So if the user changes a parameter and the target component is the same, it will be reused. So the component will call this method so you are able to fetch new data for that new parameters and show them to the user. You can also have before route leave. That is called when the component will be deactivated. That means the new route will render a new component. This leave guard is usually used to prevent the user from accidentally leave the route with unsaved edits. And the navigation can be canceled by calling next with false. I have an example here. Okay, you have before route enter. You don't have access to these, but you can provide a callback function to the next function. You can do it here, it's not supported, but on before route enter, you can pass a callback. This will be called after the route is confirmed, and then you have access to the component instance. The before route update, you have access to the new parameters. Before route leave, here is an example of a confirmation if the user wants to leave. If the answer is no, the route is canceled. Okay. So what is the full navigation resolution flow? The navigation is triggered. So the user changed the URL, the user clicked the back button or clicked a link inside the page. Vue will call before route leave guards in components that will be deactivated. Then it will call the global before each guard. It will call the before route update in guard in reused components. So the new path will reuse the same component. The before enter is called in route configs for that new route. The async route components are resolved. Then before route enter is called in new activated components. The global before resolve guards are called. The navigation is now confirmed. After each hook is called, the global one. The DOM updates are now triggered, and the callbacks passed to next in the before route enter, if they exist, are called with the new instantiated instances. Okay. Route meta fields. So you can include a meta field when defining a route. So each route object here is called a record, a route record. So route records can be nested as we saw previously. So here we have the post with an ID, and then we have a child route that is edit. If we add meta, here you can have anything you want. If you add this, then you can access it through route matched. By the way, about the nesting, when a route is matched, it can potentially match more than one route record. So what this means here is if the path is post ID edit, it will match two routes. It will match this one, and then it will match this one. So the route matched will be an array with these two route records. And then each one will have its meta. This one won't have it, and this one has it. So you can see here a global before each guard, and it goes to the destination route matched. Here it will be the two routes, and if some of them matches this, so if some record, if one of them have a method requires auth, then it means the route requires authentication. So here we will check if the user is authenticated. If not, we will redirect to the login. If it is authenticated, we will continue. Else, that means all the matched routes or none of them have requires auth, we will just continue. Transitions. So transitions work the same way as with any other dynamic component in Vue. You can have it on the router view, or you can also instead have a transition with different names inside each route component. So this one is slide, this one is fade. So instead of having the same for all, you can have it different for each one. You can also have this transition with a dynamic name. I will show you here. So if you define this transition name and you watch the route, the current route, when the route changes, you can change the transition name. So the transition will be different depending on your path. Here in this example, we are just counting the path depth. So we split by slash and count the number of path parts. If we are going to a path that has less paths than the previous one, we will slide right the component, so we are going back. If not, we slide left, so we are moving forward. So this is just an example. You can do whatever you want with it. You can do it based on the route name, the route meta, whatever. Data fetching. So there are two ways of fetching data when loading a route component. You can do it after navigation. So you perform the navigation first and then use a loading state while you fetch the new data in the component lifecycle hook on created, for example. And then you watch route for new URL parameters so you can update your data. This is my preferred way. I think it looks nicer for the user. But you can also do it before navigation. In this case, you fetch the data on the before route enter guard on your component. Here, the component is not yet instanced, initiated. So after that, you have to check the new URL parameters on before route update, or you can even mix the two and watch the route for new URL parameters. Usually what I do is use this one, and on the watch, instead of fetching on create and the watch, on my watch, I use immediate true. So the watch will always be called on the first time, even if the value did not change. So I just have to do it in one place. Scroll behavior. So when using client-side routing, we may want to scroll to top when the user navigates to a new route, or preserve the scrolling position of history entries when, just like real page reload does. So the user goes back and the page will scroll to the same position it was before. So the Vue router includes this scroll behavior method with these 3 parameters. If the saved position exists, you can return it to go to the previous scroll position. And then if you want to scroll to top, you just have to return x0 and y0, and the page will scroll. You can even have a timeout here if you want to wait from animations to run before scrolling. It is pretty flexible. This feature only works if the browser supports history push state, which most of them do nowadays. Okay, lazy loading routes. When building apps with a bundler, the JavaScript bundle can become quite large, so it will affect the page loading time. It will be more efficient if we can split each route's components into a separate chunk and then only load them when the route is visited. We can use this with two things. First of all, the Vue supports async component feature. That means that a component can be a factory function that will resolve the component definition. And then the Webpack's code splitting feature. So Webpack has this dynamic import syntax to indicate a code split point. And so this will return a promise. So if we replace this here, it results in this. You have your component that it is equal to this factory function that returns this import that returns a promise. Okay. So this way you can split your code and it will only load when that route is matched. In my projects, I usually have this helper function. So it's this load view. It is called here on the routes configuration. So this route loads the view home. I pass this string here, and this will return that function that returns this promise that loads this view from my project directory. And here I'm using this magic comment from the Webpack that is used to give a name to the resulting bundle file. So if you pass about, it will return in a view about VueJS file. And using this Webpack chunk name, you can also group several components in the same chunk if you give them the same chunk name. So if you have a route that loads multiple route components, if you call them the same name here at the Webpack chunk name, the bundle will be only one file instead of 3 files. And with this, I conclude it. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, please feel free.
Okay, André, thank you very much for this very insightful presentation about Vue Router. It was really great. Sometimes we look at Vue Router as being just a router library, and it has so many features and so many powerful features that sometimes we forget to use. And I think your presentation was really, really insightful and very interesting in exploring more the potential of the Vue Router. Thank you and congratulations for it.
Thank you. And this
guys,
was just an overview, because then you can consult the router API and there is lots of more stuff.
Yeah, there is more, way more stuff for sure. If you have any questions, please post on the chat. We already have 2 questions, but if you have anything more, please post it now, and I will share with André. First question, actually, it's from Tiago, and is asking, do you know if there will be big changes in the Vue Router for Vue 3?
I don't know yet. Vue 3 is something I want to start using as soon as possible, but I did not yet start looking at it. But it's my next priority. So if anyone knows the answer, please feel free. But
okay.
Probably there won't be. From what I saw, the changes are mostly on the components part and the way you create the components, but I don't think the Vue Router will change dramatically.
Okay. Tiago, actually, you are here in the call, so if you actually know some changes, please feel free to comment.
I don't know, so okay. But I will be talking about Vue 3, and so I'm glad that at least one person is interested. So
okay, great. So the other question, actually, it's from me, and you showed us that you could pass props directly to components. Okay, so my question here is, does that open any security concerns? Since I may be able to inject something, or does it escape everything that we pass through those parameters?
Yeah, it does escape because all the parameters will be a string, so there will be no injection.
Okay, great. I think we don't have any more questions here. I'm waiting if somebody has something more. No. So okay, I think we are done here, André. Thank you very much for this talk.
Thank you.
And let's move next to Tiago. Tiago, can you share a presentation?
okay, here we go. So share screen. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tiago, and I am here to talk about VueJS-powered, fluffy, who knows, maybe killing robots. And I am doing this to start showing some things about VueJS 3 and its composition API. So I hope you enjoy it. So let's talk about the future. We don't know how the future will be. It will probably have robots. They will be nice robots, maybe, or will be bad robots like the one in the picture. We don't know. Anyway, the future can be worse than 2020, right? So bring it on. So my name is Tiago, as I said, and I love robots. This is me in another talk in Brazil. So I was also doing some stuff with the future. You are watching this presentation, please know that I am on your side. So I like robots, I am on your side. Please don't kill me. You can just put me in your people zoo or something, but you know, I'm on your side, okay? This. What happened?
Hello?
How long ago?
I think this stopped. Yes, it stopped in the slide where you love robots.
Okay, so let me share the screen again. Okay, and start presentation.
Stop my video.
Okay, so like I was saying, okay, I love robots. I am on your side if you are a robot from the future. I also love VueJS, and I also love NativeScript. Actually, if you're interested in more about NativeScript, I made a presentation in this Meetup. So you can check it out, where I talk about NativeScript with Vue. And I work at irc.com, and I love it there. We are trying to bring IRC, the old internet chat protocol, to the 21st century and offer solutions that people and companies can actually use. So if you so why did the team decide?
Okay, I think we are having a few issues with Tiago. He was down, so let's wait here 1 minute more. He's getting back. Hello, Tiago. Your call got.
Okay, am I live again?
You're live again. Yes, you're live again. You have to share your presentation again. I think you're having internet connection issues on your side.
I don't know why.
Yeah, try to turn off your camera so we can save some bandwidth. But
okay, so
just share your presentation and don't show your camera. It may help.
Okay, I will close my camera, which well, seeing my face is not good for anyone anyway. So okay, you can see my presentation, right?
Not yet.
Oh my God. So I will keep talking, and when the presentation shows up, please tell me.
Okay.
So, okay, VueJS 3. Actually, I didn't share screen, so maybe it's there. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Now we're watching.
Okay. So first of all, VueJS 3 gives the possibility to extract the reactivity module. So all that part that makes Vue.js reactive, and like when you change something, it will reflect those changes somewhere else. So you can actually extract that as a separate module and use it even in React or any other client-side library, or even on a server-side Node application. So it has that. Also, because Vue.js-2 has a very simple syntax, but when you actually needed to do some more complex stuff, like reuse some functionality, you had to use mixins, which have kind of a weird syntax, and some edge cases where we don't know how the mixins will behave and combine when you have more than one. Or you had to use like slots and scoped slots, and it's really weird syntax. And so for more advanced usage of Vue.js, Vue 2 is not that nice. And also, Vue.js 3 will use proxies, which is a new JavaScript feature. So it allows us to watch objects and changes in JavaScript objects. And Vue.js 3 is using these proxies a lot more for everything, which brings some performance improvements. So I am going to use Vue.js with robots. So if you want to learn how to use JavaScript to program robots, you have to look for NodeBots. That's the name on the internet that you have to type in Google. And there is this very cool library called Johnny5, which makes everything so much simple to use with JavaScript. And I will use a lot of Johnny5 in this presentation, and you will see that. But if you combine NodeBots with Vue, then you have VueBots. This is a word that I invented. So if anyone asks, okay, that was me. So let's get started with some code and see how it goes. Okay, I hope you can see my kind of display.
Yes, we can watch.
Yes. You can see my Arduino here and all these wires, right? Okay, so each one of these wires is one way that this presentation can go wrong. So I have lots of duct tape here, and I am praying that well, everything stays connected. So let's look at some code right now. So to get started, so I created a very simple program, and I am going to guide you through the code. So here I am importing the Johnny5 library, 5. Then I am creating a board. A board kind of represents a piece of hardware, like an Arduino or Raspberry Pi. Johnny5, pretty much any piece of hardware that you find out there. So and it just works, as you can see, with only just these 2 lines of code, and it works. The only thing that I had to do is I had to install in the Arduino called Firmata. This program is responsible for translating the instructions from my computer that go through this USB port right here to the Arduino, and then from the Arduino to the computer. So I will be running a node application on my computer and using the Arduino through the Johnny 5. So I have this callback. So when the board is ready, when the hardware is properly set up, first I am creating a new LED. This represents, an actual hardware LED right here, and it's very simple. I only have to pass the pin number. So this LED is connected to pin number 2. But yeah, it's that little orange wire. And then from this moment, sorry, from this moment on, I am going to start playing with Vue. I am importing the reactivity module from Vue 3. And I am importing the ref function. This ref is used to make a primitive value reactive. So this way I can make a Boolean value observable by VueJS. So this way, later on, we'll kind of watch and know when the value changes. Then I am creating an effect. An effect is like a watcher on Vue. So whenever something changes in this LED on dot value is like the value inside the ref. Whenever it changes, it calls this function. So if the LED on is true, it will call LED.on, which will turn on the LED. And when LED on is false, it will turn the LED off. Okay, cool. So right now I can simply do a set interval where I am switching the value of LED on to true or false every 500 milliseconds. So let's test this and see if it's working. Okay, so there we go. This is a and I need to savor this moment because it's really something that's happening here. I bet that when Avenue was writing the reactivity module for Vue.js, he was not thinking about LEDs. Also, isn't it great that the framework that we all love can actually change like the real world? We are not just moving a bit of pixels on the screen. We are making a light blink in the real world. Vue.js is now in the material physical world, which is kind of awesome. But let's not stay here. Let's continue doing some stuff. I also have a button. And okay. And this button right here, this white button. And I create this button again with the Johnny 5 library. It's very simple. I only have to pass the pin number, which is pin number 4, somewhere around here. And then I am creating some listeners on the button object. And when the button is pressed down, then I am going to change this reference to down. So the button state, which I am creating here. Now, button state is a string and not a Boolean. So I am changing its string value. And I am just making like a direct match between the event that comes from the button and changing this state over here. Then I am just going to log this state, so I know what is happening. So also, as you can see, there are 3 events. Down, that's when the button is pressed down, and up when I release, and hold is like when if I hold the button a couple of seconds, it will trigger this event as well. I have to save, and I'm running node again. Okay, so now I see button up is up because that's its initial value, and now I press down and up, down, hold, and up. Okay, great. So right now I have two ways to interact with my Arduino. One is like an output. I am sending an output to a LED. And another one is an input, like I am receiving some input data from a button. So right now we can do something even cooler, which is we can use this button to change this LED. So how can we do that? Like this. So instead of being a reference, LED on will be a computer property. And if you use computer properties in Vue, well, you already know what these are. A computer property is a value that is recalculated each time something happens. So I have this computer property, and so this computer property will return true whenever the button state that I'm changing here with the button, whenever this state is down or hold. So whenever I am pressing the button, the state, the LED will have that state on. So let's see if this works. I only have to move this up because I am using this value right here inside the computer property. And then, yeah, I am also removing this set interval because this LED will be changed with the button, and try again. Okay, so when I press the button, I see the LED blinking, which is kind of great. It works. Okay, now this is something, but we can do something even more different. I have this other example right here, where I am using this sensor.
Tiago?
Yes.
Just one thing. I think your camera froze. So
No.
No?
Oh, I think it did. Sorry.
Because when you click the button, we didn't see any reaction from the LED.
Okay. How about now?
I think now it's working.
Is it working now?
Yes, it is. So can you show off again the button with the LED? Because
okay, just
before it was frozen.
Okay, so yeah, you are seeing now.
Yes. Okay. Now it's good.
Yeah, I'm using my iPhone to capture the image and send it to my computer, and I think my iPhone kind of stopped. So
yeah,
I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm not lying. When I press this button, the thing blinks. Okay, let's go. Next, I have this other example where I am using this sensor. This is a potentiometer. This is like a button, but this button kind of reacts when I switch this dial, so I can have multiple values in this using this component. And that's what I am going to do here. So it's kind of similar to the previous example. I am also creating a new board, a Johnny 5 board, and using the same LED on pin number 2. And I have this blink variable, blink 182, that is started with the value 182 because this value means that the LED will blink with a frequency of 182 or every 182 milliseconds. Okay, so it's very simple with Johnny 5 to set a blinking speed. You only have to call this function blink and pass it a value, and it will blink at that speed. And so I am attaching that with an effect. As I said, an effect is like a watcher. Actually, Vue 3, in Vue 3, the watcher uses under the hood this effect from the reactivity module. Yeah, so it's basically a watcher. And whenever this value changes, this blink.value changes, it will give another instruction to the LED to blink at a different speed. Then I am also creating a sensor to represent this piece of hardware, this potentiometer. And I only have to pass the pin number and some values like the frequency of samples. I want a new sample every 200 milliseconds. And so I'm also using this event. So whenever the value changes, I am going to change the blink.value, this reference over here. So let's see if this works. Okay, so the LED is blinking at a certain speed, and if I dial this up or down, maybe, okay. Yeah, I'm having some interferences here. I don't know if you can see, but the sensor here is not capturing the right values. This happens sometimes, especially when I am presenting. Okay, maybe it will improve later, but yeah, this sensor is not working well right now. Okay, yeah. Yep, this sensor is not working. Yeah, maybe it will come back later.
But you, I think we can see some differences in the in the LED frequency, blinking frequency. Yeah, now it's going way faster than before.
Yep, but it's not working correctly. But let's move on. It will be interesting because I have another example with this potentiometer, and yeah, it will be fun. It will be fun. So right now I am using the reactivity module, but Vue is not only about reactivity. When we are building our Vue applications, and we also want to use components. So components are also a great way to hide our application and break the functionality into smaller parts that are easier to manage and to maintain. So why not create hardware components? And to use that, I have to use a runtime. The runtime is the part of Vue that is responsible for like creating components and implementing all the all the component life cycle, and also implementing the rendering of components. And I am going to use the runtime test. This is a runtime that was created to make unit tests on Vue 3. And so it's a very basic runtime, but it's enough for us to do some things. So how can we use a component here? I have an example right here. So this is a component. Again, I am creating the Zonify board, etc. And this is a component. In Vue 3, we have this new setup method that runs like when the component is being instantiated. So, and you can do several things that you have to split in your code in previous versions of Vue. Now you can do it in one function. This this setup method will receive the component props, and then you can use them as you would with any Vue application. So I am creating a LED where the value of the pin is going to come from the props. So it's a prop.pin. And then there will be another prop, which is on. So when this prop is true, the LED will be turned on. When this prop is false, the LED will be turned off. And then I return an empty render function because this component kind of doesn't render anything. Then I also have this other component, this button, where I encapsulate the everything I need to create a button. So I have like this function where I go through all event names that a button has, and then I'm going to emit these events using this emit. This is like a function that will emit an event, and I'm going to emit two events. An event will be like the name of the event, so event up, down, and hold. And I also will emit an event which is called change. So whenever something changes in the button, and I will send has data for this event, I will send the event name, so I can listen to all events in the button more easily. Okay, so right now I have these two components, which are much easier to think about and to reuse. So I can create like the same example that we saw before using these components. So right now I'm going to create like one big component called bot, and inside its setup method, I will have a state. This state is like a reactive. This is the way Vue 3 has to make like a large object reactive. So whenever these values change inside this object, Vue will know and will send the effects and whatever it does to make something reactive that depends on these values. So I also have an effect here that whenever something changes in this state, I am going to log that into the console. So I have a state.button. I'm going to log the state of the button, which will be its current state, and the state of the LED, whether it's on or off. I can also use unmounted if I wanted. This is how I would create a mounted, like on Vue 2. So I am also using this effect where whenever the button state changes, I'm going to change the state of the LED. And from this moment on, I can create my, I can compose my component. So this setup function returns a render function. And this is my render function. You probably remember this H actually from the previous talk too, when André showed that homemade Vue router. This is the function to actually render a component. So to render this component, I am rendering some component called app. And this component will have two children. One is the LED on pin number 2, and I am going to pass to it as a prop the LED on state that I created right here. And then I am doing the same for the button. I am creating a button that will have two props. One is the pin, so it will be attached to the pin number 4, and it will have an event, so it will listen to events, to change events, and whenever this event is triggered, it will change the state of the button, so right here, to the value of the event. So if I do this, then this effect will be triggered and the LED will be changed according to the state of the button. And then I'm doing some more boilerplate here, and I'm going to start this example by rendering my bot component. And let's go. Let's see if this works. Okay, right now the state is the button is up, the LED is false, and when I press it, I see the button. Okay, so although this actually does the same thing as before, right now I have two components that I can reuse and make things even more complex and that change in different ways. So I have reusable components that I can mix and match in very different ways. So pretty cool. This works great, but I think we can do even
Tiago, I'm sorry, but your iPhone stopped again.
Okay.
Stop showing the screen again. Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, cool. Let's go. But it was working. Well, let's move on. So, okay. What happened? Okay. So, I want to introduce you something very special. Now that we can use VueJS reactivity and components to make robots, I want to present you the first ever VueBot. And since it's the first VueBot ever created, of course, it's the VueBot 3000 because it's the first, obviously. So let me introduce you. I hope you are ready. Okay, this is VueBot 3000. He's a very cool robot. It has like two little eyes, one red and one green, which I will explain you, and like one little mouth and this little nose. I will show you what it does. So I wanted to create a robot that could express the full range of human emotion. So I divided all human emotion and experiences into four categories divided by two axes. So the axis goes from evil to good. So you can be evil, like bad, or you can be good, like a good person and feeling good about something. And you can be sad, like you are not happy, or you can be happy. So when you are feeling good and happy, this is how you feel, like the wind is blowing, you feel relaxed, everything is going great. But you also can feel good, but sad at the same time. So you are feeling sad, but it's a good kind of sad. So you are feeling sad, but maybe you are sad because you are missing someone very much, or maybe you are sad because you are watching a puppy that is so cute that you want to cry. This is like the good type of sad. And also there is the evil type of sadness, when you are sad but you are angry and you want to yell at something, or maybe even doing something very stupid. And then there's the worst kind of feeling. That's when you are happy, but it's like an evil happy. You are happy for being bad. You want to do something evil. You want to destroy something and laugh about it. So I figured that if I could make a robot with all the range of emotion that the greatest actor in history, Nicolas Cage, if I could make a robot that can represent all these states of Nicolas Cage, I think I have made the perfect robot. So let's try that. VueBot 3000, and I will start it right now. No. Okay, there we go. So let me show you the code. So I am going to go a little faster right now. So I have my main component, and it has a brain. And this brain is like the state of mind of the robot. It has an happiness level which goes from 0 to 100. Yeah. And as you can see, the robot is smiling. See, it has a little smile, so it's pretty happy. Maybe it could have like a bigger smile, but he's happy. And also his alignment, either he can be good or evil. And I am then going to log this so I can see what's happening using this effect. and I am going to change the mouth. Okay, the mouth is a computed property according to the happiness. So when the robot is happy, he will be smiling. This will be like the value of its happiness. And when he's sad, the mouth will turn the other way around. So my robot has several components. Has an eyes component, which will build these components. Right. First, let me show you what it does. When I press the button, it will change its alignment. Okay, he's good. Now he's evil. You can see the red being evil, and not just because it's the color of AngularJS, and because it's the color of Vue. I mean, maybe that's why. But. And also, I can use the potentiometer, if it works, to change its state. But the potentiometer is not working. I must have something switch around, or I don't know. Okay, I will not try to understand it. Maybe it has gained consciousness. Okay, but yeah, it should be using this to change the happiness value. Servo is the motor that will change from happy to sad. I have a potentiometer and the button. I created a bunch of components here. A couple of them I used the code that you saw before. Like I have this LED component and this button component, and I also created a servo component for the motor right here, and a potentiometer component also, and a light sensor. This node right here is a light sensor. I will show you how it works. And okay, now I can use these components to create my robot. But one thing we all like in Vue is that you can use components to divide your application logic. And that's what I did with eyes. So I created this eyes component, which control these two LEDs. And I'm going to pass only one prop, which is the alignment, either good or bad. And the eyes component will, in turn, include two LEDs, one for bad and one for good. So so that they are on according to the alignment that comes from the props. And as you can see, I added a blinking. So people blink, and if you don't blink, people will find very strange. Like Mark Zuckerberg that never blinks, and we don't want that. We want our robot to feel more human. So it is blinking, but I also created like this use blink, which is like a part of the state that comes from somewhere else, and I will show you. So this use blink comes from the cerebellum. And why is that? Because you don't know, you don't have to remember to blink. Your brain does that automatically. You don't have to think about blinking, because there is this part of your brain called the cerebellum that does that for you. So I put this blink function in the cerebellum because it's like a piece of functionality that I want to like put a bit to the side. And this is kind of a common pattern even in web applications when you want to to put some functionality a bit, to the side, because it's not really relevant to the main scope of your application, or maybe you want to reuse it in other ways. So this cerebellum has this function, use blink, that all it does is returning this variable is blinking, and this is blinking is actually a reference. So when wait, where are my eyes? When I am using this const is blinking come from use blink, this variable is blinking will be a reference and will be changed inside this function use blink, but I can use it as part of the state on this component. So in here in use blink, I decided to add some functionality. Like you blink more when you see a strong light, like if you stare at the sun, you will blink more than if you are in a dark room. So that's why this, oh, I'm sorry, okay. So if I do this, you see, I am pointing a flashlight and it starts blinking faster because it's too much light. And if I remove it, it will start blinking slower. So this is like a very simple example on how you can use Vue 3 to split not only your applications into components, but actually split into functions that deal with parts of your application state, and then use it and reuse it inside your component. So pretty cool. So the composition API, from this simple experimentation, what did I learn? So first, the reactivity module by itself, so you can use it not only with Vue web applications. Also, the composition API has more potential to separate your application logic into components or even into functions that will combine with other pieces of state that can come from separate parts and separate files. Also, more potential to reuse this application logic. And also, note this, I didn't use this anywhere in this example, because this composition API is much more functional. You can do things in a much more functional way. So you don't rely on the internal state of the object. You always know where the data is coming from. It's more clear that way. So if I wanted to improve this robot, maybe I could add a computed property for the morale. Maybe even use some heart function to see whether this robot is falling in love or not. Maybe its consciousness could be a reactive object with some with lots of properties. Also, maybe there is a Boolean reference for annihilate humanity, and when this thing changes, this value changes, the robot will just kill everyone. Maybe the robot will be equipped with a doomsday device that will destroy this planet, and it can be rendered with just one simple prop, kill, true or false. So there are many ways to compose your API, your application. So VueBots, they are the future. And thank you very much. I am waiting for your questions. I hope you like this silly introduction to the composition API.
Okay, Tiago, thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting talk, and also quite intriguing and original. So guys, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat on YouTube. I will start actually doing one of them, which is how the hell did you come up with this idea?
Okay, so that's a nice question. Well, I already started playing with the robots and JavaScript, and even implementing a Vue.js interface to control this robot here. Wow. Okay. And then I was starting to see some cool stuff about Vue 3, and I thought, well, this would be cool to show with robots. So.
Okay, but do you see any particular advantage of using the Vue reactivity features over not using them?
Yeah, I think so. If you have like a big IoT setup with lots of sensors and with lots of LEDs and displays, I think this actually could be a nice way to organize your robot application. I don't know, but I am feeling like I should do something with this, maybe take this one step further and make it work with templates, so you can actually write some HTML or some XML type of thing and compose your robot with templates. I don't know.
Okay, great. And one last question: do you think that Vue has any future with robots, or it will stay as just a playground for you?
Well, I don't know, but all this code is available online, so I can send the link to the repo, and if you guys want to try, well, let's get this started. Maybe VueBots will be a thing in a couple of months. Who knows?
Okay, great. Tiago, we don't have any questions from our audience. At least none showed. There was actually a question from Ricardo Pestana. He removed it, but he asked just if there was just a lag or a delay on the button, because sometimes you pressed it and for several times it was logging the hold event, and he was just wondering why that was happening. If there was some kind of timeout between the clicks or something like that?
Maybe you were seeing some camera issues that I had, but also the whole event triggers like every second, I think. If you keep holding, it will keep triggering the whole event. So it could be that. But there is no lag. It's like instant.
Well, actually, Ricardo is saying here that he actually saw the API documentation, and he realized there is a default value of 500 milliseconds.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably why that happens.
Yep. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, I think there is no more questions. So thank you guys for joining us in this talk. It was a bit long, but very insightful in my opinion. And again, I hope this may motivate you to actually do some presentation, whether it's from something that you use every day or something very, I would say, very eccentric, like this presentation of Vue robots, which is great to see how we can use the Vue.js out of the web scope. So again, thank you very much. Don't forget that next month we won't have any meetup. We will get back on September. Hope you have nice holidays. Enjoy the weather, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.